For USCFootball.com, I'm Keely Eure here with Dan Weber for instant analysis of USC's 9th practice of spring camp. Now today was a Saturday morning practice, which meant there was more of a scrimmage emphasis. So Dan, what did you take away from today's scrimmage-like practice?
Well, they're out there working hard, I think, and it's much more game-like. I think originally I thought there were four. I think there were 5 Pac-12 officials here. The white-hatted referee. Even with the coaches on the field during 11-on-11, they still have to run with the clock and all of that. So you're getting much more of a kind of a game situation. When they run plays, they move the ball down the field. They go from, hash mark to hash mark. They use the sidelines. They'll go third and short and bring in a appropriate defense and all that. So I think they're so much closer to being, let's say, a game-ready team, except for the fact that there's a tremendous amount of offensive mixing and matching with the quarterbacks. And today was freshman Keaton Slovis's featured day, where he got to go first in a lot of situations, got to go extensively at the goal line and all of that. So I don't know that we can measure it in terms of touchdowns or all of that kind of thing. But I do think, the really important point that Clay made right at the very end before we walked out, they've run 200 plays this spring. They've had 1 penalty, an illegal procedure, a tackle jumped, and one time they put the ball on the ground. In 200 plays, that's amazing. That's so different from what we're used to. I mean, that is really, really different. So whatever they're doing, and obviously having the officials here, really works.
Yeah, Clay said he hoped to get through week 3 without a penalty, but there happened to be one false start during the 11-on-11 portion towards the end of practice. But we were talking off camera. It seems like there's such a difference with the refs here, because they used to have during spring bring refs in on Saturdays, but the problem is that's the first time the players are getting used to having those refs there, and so we'd see a lot of flags. Now when it comes to days like today, they're used to having the refs there, and you don't see those penalties.
Yeah, it would be one of those things where, hey, I was doing that all week, and that guy threw the flag, or they, during practice during the week without officials, you'd see arguments, for example, there'd be was it a hold, was it a pass interference, was it a catch, all of that. And they're yelling at one another, and nobody's getting anything done. They're just saying, no, you were holding, no, I wasn't, blah, blah, blah. And for now, if and having the officials are even doing, the individual drills. So that guy throws the flag, and the kid says, hey, I don't think I was holding. And the official will say, here's what I saw you do. I will call that in a game. So there's no point in arguing it. You just say, okay, I'll file that away. I can't do that. This guy might be calling a game. So I think that has been almost, we can't even measure how much of an improvement it is. Yeah. But when you get those numbers, that's amazing.
Mm-hmm. You mentioned the mixing and matching happening on the offense. The mixing and matching happens especially with the quarterbacks and which O-line they get, the first team O-line or the second team O-line. And I think at this point in spring, you're starting to see a drop-off or a talent gap between the first team and second team O-line. I mean, if you're a quarterback, how much does your success on the field depend on which line you're paired up with that day?
Yeah, and I think that you just have to say, hey, you make the best of what you've got. You do the best you can. You're working with the receivers. You're working on your timing and all that. But when we ask Clay about, what he's happiest about, it seems like might be the offensive line. And when he talks about the offensive line, he talks about those 5. I'm assuming, he starts with, with the 2 tackles and works his way in. We assume he's talking about Brett Nealon as a center, but we're not absolutely certain. But he's feeling pretty good about the 5-man offensive line that is developing right now. And I would like to see more, in that second group, people pushing people and people pushing people. I think Austin Jackson, for example, you'd really like to have somebody pushing Austin Jackson to be as good as he can be. Yeah. Probably the same way with, Jalen McKenzie, Elijah Vera-Tucker, Andrew Voorhees, all of those guys. The more push they get, the better it is. But they seem to be pretty happy with the way that first group is developing.
Mm-hmm. There's been a lot of talk this spring about the defensive line and their ability to get upfield and shed their blocks quickly. Have you been seeing that so far this spring? What did you see from them today?
Yeah, Jay Chuvelli just runs by people. I mean, you like the fact that he can probably generate a pass rush without help, without blitzing, without doing, without putting the Greyhound package in and without putting all the speed guys on the edges. But today also you saw the speed guys on the edges. You saw, or even just the big guys, Connor Murphy. You saw Jacob Lichtenstein. You saw Hunter Eccles. People like that, were, they. If you gave them, if you were going to go much more than the 2.5 seconds, they were right in your face. I mean, they got a lot of guys that can run, and they've got, some packages that I think are doing really well for them. And clearly, they remember last year, and there wasn't a pass rush generated. And I think playing, too deep, I think really helps them there. And they've got a lot of athletes. I mean, we see, for example, the one-on-one pass rush and pass blocking doesn't look like last year. Last year, they were like, it was like happening in a phone booth. And everybody, it was, so in close. This year, with the wider splits and, the more athletic D-line and guys that have lost weight and guys that are quicker, it's much more of an athletic deal. And you have to be able to, be quick on your feet and cover some area if you're going to block where these, D-line guys are coming from. So it really does have a different look. If you remember last year, it was kind of like sumo wrestling where they were just sort of boom, boom, boom. Now, you got to be able to, that guy might be lined up, a man and a half wide of you, and he's coming in wide, and you've got to get to him. Yep. Didn't see that last year. Yeah. So, the emphasis on going fast, I really like.
Mm-hmm. I think the age-old question, though, when watching practice and watching it as much as we do is how much of that play was, that was a good D-line play or that was a bad O-line play? What are you seeing as far as who has the upper hand and how they compare to each other?
I like it that it's sort of going back and forth. I don't think it's obviously one way or the other. You probably don't want it to be obviously one way or the other, but, it is kind of a zero-sum game. It's like when you're playing against yourself. So I just think if you're doing what you need to be doing on that particular play, the result isn't the same as if it's a game. So all you can do is measure it against yourself and what were you expected to do? Did you do it right? Were you physical enough? Were you fast enough? All of that, and you just let it play out, that way. Mm-hmm. I don't think you're down there, taking notes that where somebody is necessarily winning or losing as a team. I think individually, it's worth looking at the individual matchups. But when they go together as a group, I think that's why it's so much fun to get to the season. And you see, I know Pete Carroll used to talk about that, how exciting it was for him to get to a game and get the first snap and just see how do you match up with that team. Physically, how fast are you? Can you get to where you're trying to get before they can get there to stop you and all of that. He said, you never know that until you actually see it. You can have a sense of how it's going to go, but, you practice as hard as you can. You think you're doing all the right things, but until you actually see them against somebody else, you really don't know.
Yeah. You mentioned individual matchups. We saw the return of the running backs versus linebackers drill that we praised on Thursday. It was interesting. We saw a big improvement from the running backs. It seemed like Marquise Stepp and Stephen Carr definitely got better at that drill. So that's a notable improvement and a notable return of the drill that we liked so much.
Yeah, I thought the idea of bringing it back and saying, maybe, they watched it and said, this could be good. We need to do this. One would think, it's 5 minutes maybe. And I think it's as much as they're going to throw the ball. And now today they, for example, lined up in some 2-back sets, which gives them another blocking back. So you got an opportunity to have those guys. And you could tell Thursday that Stephen and Marquise just hadn't done this very much. It was just they're running backs, or they're whatever. They're not blocking backs, and that's always the case. With kids coming out of high school. You're not recruiting them because they're blocking people. You're recruiting them because they're the guy in their high school team that's running the ball every time. I thought Marquise, at 230 pounds, you would expect him to be able to do it. I thought his technique picked up a lot. I think Stevens, attitude and his ability to try to really get it done picked up a lot today.
Yeah.
I think he's still got a ways to go in terms of technique, but his kind of 1-2 attitude was in a different place than say it was Thursday.
Mm-hmm. As far as injuries go, Solomon Tulialapupu, Jude Wolfe, Caleb Tremblay, and Clayton Bradley were not practicing today. We did see the return of Greg Johnson and John Jackson. It seemed like tight end Josh Follow got injured during a 9 versus 9 portion of practice. It looked like his left shoulder. He was evaluated by trainers and spent the rest of practice with ice on his shoulder. If you actually rewind this video, he walked past us around the 2-minute mark with a sling on, so we'll see how that goes going forward. We didn't get an official update from Clay Helton because we only talked to him once a week now. There's so many questions that just fell by the wayside, but we'll be sure to keep updating you on that. But as far as injuries go to the tight end group, that's a small group to begin with. You have Jude Wolfe out for a good bit, and now potentially Josh Follow. You only have really Eric Krummenhoek there going forward.
And to be honest, he stepped up. I think he made a touchdown catch on a shoe top ball diving. Clearly the best catch of his career. I mean, I don't think there was any question. He's not been, he's been more like, oh, he's the blocking tight end. Today, he was the tight end, and they ran a play to him at the goal line, and he made a sensational grab off the grass. I just had never seen him do that before, so who knows? It was a good day for him. He also, I guess, he had a drop. When you have a drop, he had at the end of a play, the ball went on the ground. And
Greg Johnson had a second effort and kind of knocked out of his hand.
Whether that counted or didn't count, I'm not sure, but when they were doing the up downs after practice, he wasn't doing up downs with them. They had a coach running next to him and throwing the ball on the ground, and he was recovering it. And they kept running it, and he'd recover it. He'd run a few more steps, and they'd throw the ball. He'd recover it. So they were reminding him, especially, don't drop it, and if you do, get on it.
Yeah.
Those are little things that are happening too, like with the Greg Johnson extra effort and all of that. And you had today, I guess, 2 secondary guys in yellow jerseys, and they're getting everything out of them. I mean, it doesn't, if you watched them most of the time, you wouldn't notice that they're doing things differently than the guys not in the yellow jerseys. So Isaiah Palomalo and Greg Johnson, as Talanoa, for the good and bad, were basically playing with yellow jerseys on, but really trying to get everything they could from being on the field and not like pulling back.
Yeah. USC only has 6 practices left of spring camp. Clay Helton said after practice that he wished they had 20 more. Dan, what are you expecting for these next couple practices? Next Saturday is the spring showcase. It's like a modified spring game, not really a game, glorified practice, if you will. Not sure. But what are you expecting going forward, and any final thoughts?
I don't know if they'll try to get a little more cohesive, let's say first unit on offense, really figure it out. I'm not sure how you do that. Say with the running backs, you've got 3. You could say, okay, we've got 4 wide receivers. If we run 4 out there, or 3, it's going to be 4 guys alternating for 3 spots. Not sure, do you do that with quarterbacks or not? Do you try to start zeroing in? I mean, basically, today was Keaton Slovis Day, and then Matt Fink and JT Daniels kind of were not a big feature, a big focus of today's practice. I don't know if that changes or not. I think the one advantage last year when they alternated them equally, you didn't get enough throws from one quarterback to, for example, who was it? I guess Michael Pittman last year, early in the year, said, I just have not caught very many balls from JT. It was like, really? The season started? And so they throw so many passes during practice, with the 4 guys throwing the first drill they do. They have all 4 quarterbacks throwing to every one of the tight ends, wide receivers, and running backs, that everybody throws enough patterns and throws enough balls that you're probably not going to have that problem where everybody's getting a chance. But still, do you get the chance for the first offensive line group, and however they're going to do the running backs. I don't even have a good sense of how the running backs are going to play out. I thought, both Vi and Marquise had some tough runs today. I thought Stephen, they're still having, issues with getting him going. He got one sweep that looked like the timing was there a little bit, but I think they need to figure out a way to get Steven into the run game. Like you say, need to get the tight ends back.
Yeah.
And I think they're doing so much situational substituting on defense and packages for downs and distances. I think you'll see much more of that happening, as we go forward, so that everybody feels like this is where I belong, this is what I do, this is who I am, this is how I play. I think that's going to be a key if they figure out exactly how to do that really smoothly with a lot of different guys.
Mm-hmm. Alrighty, that's going to wrap it up for day 9 of USC Spring Camp. For Dan Weber, I'm Keely Eure. For more, check out uscfootball.com.